everyone, I'm glad you're here. Thank you very much for joining me. It is Friday, July 18th, 2025. This image here is Pitchstone Plateau. This was the last major eruption, or a fairly large eruption, I should say, there at Yellowstone about 76,000 years ago. And let me bring this out. Over here we got Yellowstone Lake and Heart Lake. The lava here is about 1 mile thick, and I noticed yesterday there's been an uptick in earthquakes in Pitchstone Plateau. The latest earthquake that USGS has reported was a magnitude 0.7. You can see the earthquakes too are following along this fault line. This is the Teton fault zone. I want to say, 2 weeks ago, there in the Tetons, there was a column of rock that recently collapsed. It was the second collapse along that zone. I did report it on Twitter, but I didn't do a video about it here on Yellowstone. Here we have a current view of Yellowstone there at the park. A lot of people, they're currently moving the camera around. They were looking at the Three Sisters a few minutes ago. I also want to make it very clear that there is no mass migration of animals leaving the park. It's all BS. Mark them, as it says in the Bible. They are a liar. You know, you often see bison going from one area of the park to another with their babies. Yeah, that happens all the time. And then at the end of the year, you'll see the migration of the elk, things like that. But it is BS for clicks to say that, yeah, the animals are exiting the park. I also want to do a friendly reminder that people need to have water in their prepper supplies. I have backup water, of course, that I do prepare for disasters. I have a thing that you put into the tub, so if the power goes out and the pumping stations will stop working, you can fill up these bags that you put in your tub to fill up with water. But what if there is a water line break and suddenly you don't have water? And that is another reason why you should have containers of water for backup, for emergencies, in case suddenly, and I mean suddenly, you turn on the faucet and there's no water. So I do have water. I am prepared for that, but I don't know how long I'm not going to have water, because here in the trailer park where I live, they evidently got a main broken water line. I tried calling the landlord, but they have never answered their phone. They have never replied to voicemail or email that I sent them. And of course, when I noticed there was no water, I tried calling them, and once again, they didn't answer. So this time I called City Works, and they said because it's a private park, they got nothing to do with it, and suggested to call the landlord, those that run the park. And I told them I've done that. They don't reply. And so then I called the local police and made a complaint, and they said to call the municipal company once again, which I did, and to tell them that they're not responding. So I don't know how long I'm not going to have water. I don't know when the main water line to the park here broke, but it is another reason to have backup water, not depending on getting notice that it's going to end soon. Anytime, just like the power shutting off, you could lose water. But anyways, yeah, they're looking at the back basin there at Yellowstone. So going into these earthquakes, 9 earthquakes USGS is reporting in the last month for the Pitchstone Plateau. You think, oh, that's not a lot. But being the Pitchstone Plateau, and only 76,000 years ago, they had the major eruption there. Yeah, it's a little concerning when all of a sudden there's an uptick. They did not fudge about being a magnitude 0.7. Here's Pitchstone Plateau, the monitor that I downloaded the data. The one in the middle is Madison River. It kind of shows up there. And the far right is the western boundary. I'm going to make Pitchstone Plateau, oops, hit the wrong button. I'm going to make that one bigger. And you'll notice all this activity. Yeah, look at all that. They are now reporting these, of course. Let me go back down here and we'll look at the spectrogram. Okay, right there. You can see it's a shallow earthquake. 2.2 miles in depth. I don't have this one here. I don't have the data that down from that one. That's probably the largest one in the last month. That's even shallower. 1.6. I had already downloaded the data when this one came in. I don't know. That's just really odd. So we'll go back up over here, and there's a lot of earthquakes, and they're not being reported. Yeah, look at them all. Let me close this out. Look at that. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. The reason also, too, why it's so concerning, the last time Yellowstone had its major eruption, about 350,000 years ago, it started up over here in the Madison River area. And it did a counterclockwise, what they call unzipping. Multiple eruptions, boom, 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 counterclockwise. And then once it got down here by Pitchstone Plateau and Heart Lake, that is when the two resurgent domes at Yellowstone collapsed at the same time. Let's see, so we got this one right here, which is the Mallard Lake resurgent dome, and then the Sour Creek resurgent dome. So once it got down here, this is when it had its last major eruption. The resurgent domes collapsed into the caldera. Yeah, and it was, massive. All these earthquakes being marked in red means it was picked up, in fact, by the computer. They're relying more and more on AI and computer nowadays to report earthquakes. I don't know what they're doing with their time. Look at all those right there. Boom, 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 boom. Let me close this out, and I'll make this smaller. This was also going on after they had 7.3 up there along the Aleutian Islands of Alaska. Yeah, and it really stirred up the caldera here at Yellowstone. Okay, so this here is the Madison River. And you can see we also got, I'm off the line. We got multiple earthquakes during that same time frame here at this other monitor. But most of them, let me reduce this. See, they're deeper. These earthquakes are deeper. All right, we'll go back over here. Most of them show up there at Pitchstone Plateau. Look at all of them in red compared to the Madison River. So more recently, besides all these smaller ones that happened earlier, this one here that I got highlighted right there at 10:09 Universal Time. Yeah, they're not reporting that one. And that's probably one of the larger, well, besides these. This is probably one of the larger ones. I mean, there's some larger ones up there. I want to explain this too. These are slow-moving tremors. Slow-moving, long-duration tremors is when magma is on the move, rising up. All right, I want to go back over here. This earthquake comes in as a magnitude 1.66 at least. I shortened it up, as you can see. Let's actually do it right. So it would be a magnitude 1.85. That's not being reported. And then we got a smaller one before that. Actually, several of them, see? Not being reported. Long duration. Let me extract that. See, that's wavy tops. Wavy tops means magma on the move. Lava is called magma when it's still under the ground. Now, if it had sharpened points, let me extract that. That is when you get where the ground is no longer flexible because it's got so much pressure pushing up on the ground. And that's the popping. But then we also have, let me make this bigger. Yeah, we got some wavy ones. Let me pull this down farther. Let me do that one. See, wavy. Yeah. So they're only reporting 9 earthquakes for the last month, and you can see with your own eyes. There's been a lot more than that. Here's another one that's not being reported. 1718, I believe, after midnight universal time. Not being reported. Not being reported. Okay, let me go back. And yeah, see this long duration. Yeah, long duration, magma on the move when I pulled the files. All right, I'm going to close it out, and then I'm going to put it on the spectrogram so we can see the heat. That's shallow. That is shallow. So more than likely, there's a dike intrusion. A dike is a crack in the ground where the magma rises up, heats the water, releases gases, and these are really shallow. You know, the top of the magma chamber there at Yellowstone is only 2 to 3 miles under the ground from where people are walking. Yep, so if you get off of these elevated boardwalks and you're walking in the parking lots or along dirt trails and you notice the bottoms of your shoes melting, yeah, you might know why now. Yeah, look at all the people. There's a bunch down here in a group. Yep. Yep. And then the trees, if they'll zoom into some of the trees, they all grew up during what's called the quiet period. Before Yellowstone became more active and started releasing the gases from that magma that's under the ground and started killing off the trees. We got a line that goes all the way up here through the hill here. And we got them. You can follow the fault lines that are releasing the gases by the line of dead trees. Yeah. So history does have a way of repeating itself. Maybe they're going to have a small eruption again. But this is over a mile thick, the lava that's on the ground. And it covers an area approximately the same size as Washington, D.C. And there's Heart Lake. And I keep watching. I may not be posting all the time, but I do keep watching. And last night I noticed there was an increase in these earthquakes along the Teton Fault Zone. Yeah, let me bring this out and show you something. I don't know if you can tell. Let's see. Looking at the mountains is what I'm trying to show you. Looking at the mountains, this whole area, yeah, the mountain ranges go all the way up. And when it had its last major eruption, yeah, it blew them all out. Kind of like taking a hot knife and chopping them off. Yeah, it really doesn't show here using Google Earth. But anyways, there is no mass migration of the animals exiting Yellowstone. I'm sorry, get offended. I don't care. Animals are not that smart. Yes, they can hear things. They can hear the rumbling. They can feel the vibration. But it doesn't mean anything to them. I mean, look at that bison that deliberately committed suicide by stepping into that one hot pool. He stepped in, he got out after he realized, oh, hot, 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 hot. And then he turned around and he went back in and died. So don't tell me they're so smart. Yes, they can hear things that we can't hear. Their vision is better. But they're not migrating. They're not leaving. They don't know if there's a threat or not. So anyways, yeah. People want to believe baloney, to put it nicely. That's fine. But yeah, I stick to the facts. Anyways, thank you for watching. What are your thoughts and what are your comments? Please put them down below. Always be safe. Always be prepared. Yeah, have extra water. Don't think that you can fill up the containers at the last minute. Because sometimes, like today with me, you can't do that. I do have extra bottles of water. But I can't fill up the tub kit with water. I didn't know the water was going to suddenly not be available. Evidently, it's a main water line that's broke. So who knows how long it's going to be not having water. But I do keep up on things. I keep up on the laundry. I wash the dishes after every meal. So it's not like I desperately needed it. I was only going to make another cup of coffee. And that's when I noticed there was no water. Yeah, and thank you very much to those of you that have donated and bought me cups of coffee. So anyways, yeah, thank you. God bless you. Always be prepared for the unexpected. Please stay safe, and I will talk to you later. God bless you. Bye.